Welcome to Module 9, and hopefully you were successful in completing Module 8. If you haven't, make sure that you complete it as a homework type exercise. So I'm on the course website here. Excuse me. Supposedly no lecture this time, but remember, because you got the extension on the business report, use this session for asking questions from your tutors for further advice on the business report. And if you've just started, you better really pull your finger out, because you really don't have much time left. The main concern about this video will be to introduce what we're doing on the better part of this module, which is the Access Database, Block 2. So let's have a look at what's in Block 2. Block 2, as before, we have the workshop material supplied to us, and you have activities 0, 1, 2, 3, right up to 7. Okay, so what's actually happened in this? Oh, by the way, remember, test your knowledge. Make sure that you understand what sort of questions that you'll be asked in the final test. Just a sampler for you there, right? Make sure that you do all the in-class knowledge stuff. So, okay, workshop material. Workshop material, again, I've provided the links for each activity. They're separate pages within Canvas for you. So if you do this session correctly, you should complete all of these stages, 1, 2, 3, 4, right up to 7. I've provided all of the databases here for you, even the final complete version. So you may actually want to download all of these, put them into a directory, as you'll probably see later that I have already. But let's have a look, because this is the introduction part. I'm actually going to introduce what is in activity 0, right? So far in activity, in the previous week's activities, we looked at creating a database. So all the aspects around a database for what is a table, what is a query, all those objects, right, were introduced to you. In the first session, we did creating a table, making sure that you understand what is a primary key, what is a foreign key, what is an attribute, and then reflects back into a database as a field, and a field contains data, right? You must make sure that you've actually gone through the first part, because it was all about setting up a database before we start using it, right? The other aspect in the first session was that we were setting up the database ready for use, but we also employed create a form for data entry for users of our database as well, because we don't want them to directly access data within the tables through data sheets, right? So we want to give them an interface almost mimicking same as a website. So a website would give the person a website to fill in their details, and that information then gets stored in the database. So we don't give every web user access to our database directly, right? So we use forms. Now in this session here, we're making it usable. In other words, what does that really mean? It means the next step is to actually use the database to create some kind of information for us. And information means that we process the data by using things like queries and reports to to show the user, the result of the data in some sort of usable information. Okay, so this session will be concerned about queries, and very important for you guys to know what a dynamic query and so forth. What's the rest of the videos, all the different types of queries that we're looking at. Remember, in this course we're not using any action type queries, which means directly updating data within the database. We're only using select queries, which means we're selecting fields and we're extracting data, and then formatting it appropriately. Same as the second part for this tutorial is the queries, which is probably the most important thing about databases. And then reports. How do we actually format and create simple reports? Now for this session, as soon as I finish this, you should go to the activity 0 page and just refresh your knowledge of the different objects which exist in Microsoft Access. So I recommend you play this thing again, which you should have played last week, but just to refresh your memory about what are the different types of objects, how do they all link together in this activity. So away you go. I'll catch you in the next activity.